Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly episode. It is episode number 368 for August the 11th, 2026, and we're moving towards the middle of the month. Hard to believe. And I just did some shopping on Sweet Pea for some more embroidery designs. I know I have a stack of them to do, but it was 50% off. I can't resist a sale like that. So anyways, let's take a look at what I have been working at and talk about some of these things in a little bit more detail. You've already seen some of these before. This is my design wall, and right now it has a partially done poinsettia block table runner. These were 3 blocks that I purchased, I believe, from Sweet Pea, and they were not, well, they're only related because of their colors and their poinsettia pattern. But I thought, you know, if I bought 3 of these blocks, I bought them each individually, and they were probably on sale, I could make a table runner out of them. So this is what I'm working on. As you can see, it's not finished. Those long pieces that are there, at the very far ends and at the top and the bottom, I need to make 1, 2, 3, 4 more of those, and then I need something as cornerstones in there. And I think I might use the ones that are in the middle of the layout I have right now, the green and red ones on the white background, as the cornerstones. I don't know. I'll see. Now, this morning when I was picking up some things on sale, I picked up another poinsettia block. I might take a look at that and see if I can sew it out and incorporate it into this quilt. One concern about this quilt, and it's not really a major concern, is once I have all the pieces the way I want them and I have them all sewn out, it will take a little bit of time to sew the little tiles together, and it's going to create a lot of seams. So definitely I'll be pressing these seams open, but I usually do on a table runner type thing because I want it to lay as flat as possible. And instead of using battleizer for this one, I have this other stuff that I bought, and I don't know what it's called, and I bought it from Monfil some time ago. It seems to work very well too as a batting. So that's probably what I will use in this one. Now down in the bottom, you can see half of a Tinkerbell. And this is for the Art East second star to the right. It's chapter 4. And I'm going to show you, I did get Tinkerbell done yesterday. And let me find her. And there she is. Now, I made a couple of little boo-boos. But I don't think anybody's ever going to really notice them, except maybe John of Art East, who designed it. First of all, she's clubfoot. She's not my first character as clubfoot. My Peter Pan for this one was clubfoot too. I don't know why, and I don't care. Put it that way. That's all right. They're fantastical creatures anyway, so, you know, one foot came out okay. But when I lined this piece up, I guess I didn't do a very good job, or something was cut too short, or I don't know. I have this problem. And if you look here at her wings, this piece that has the little corner, white little corner piece up here, and this one, it's opposite, they should have been reversed. This piece should have gone over here. This piece should have gone over here. So this little tip wouldn't be quite making this design. It would line up with this one. But you want to know something? It doesn't bother me. It's still fairy wings. It's fine. Because I didn't discover that until I got finished. And I'm not going to worry about it. No. I'm calling anything that I do that's not exactly like the original a customization, and I'm sticking to my story. Now, I thought I was done, the chapter. Then I flipped the page and realized, oh my God, I have stars to make. And they are tiny, tiny little pieces. And it looks like you do some stitch and flip on these 1 1/4 inch square pieces or something. I'm going, oh my God. So I'm not done yet. And then I flipped on a little further, and the next chapter is Captain Hook. He is the biggest character on this quilt, and he has probably the most pieces. I'm going to be crazy by the time I get this quilt done. but I'm not giving up. I'm going to get the quilt done. So today I'm going to start on the stars, see how far I can get. I'm going to break it up. There isn't any panic. There isn't any rush. I just have to keep saying that to myself. But I don't want to fall behind, because if I fall behind, then I'll get discouraged and I won't want to carry on. So, yes, as you've heard me say many times before, I have a love-hate relationship with Art East quilts. I love them, but at times I just hate them too. But it's all worth it at the end because they are beautiful and unique. Okay, and do I have anything else to show you? No, I don't think I do. No, not yet. Okay, come back to me. Now I've got the hiccups. First of all, it's a frog in my throat. Then it's the hiccups. I think it's because I record these early in the morning, and half of my body is not yet awake. So let's get on with it, shall we? So what's coming up? Sewing with me, Stephen, as usual, on Wednesdays. The link is in the show notes. If last week we had a really good turnout, I guess I guilted everybody into coming. Well, let's keep up the pace, shall we, people? Yeah, and if you're new, don't put it off. Really, why? Why are you doing that? We can always make excuses when it's something we're not sure we want to do. We want to do it, but we don't want to do it, but we want to do it, but we're afraid to do it. Get over that. We don't bite anybody that's on here, and we have a good time. Ask anybody. Yeah, we love having new people join us. They bring a new dimension into the group. We're always exploring new ideas. It's all very informal. It's very relaxed. It's kind of a nice break in the middle of your week, I think. But if you can't make it on Wednesdays, but you really want to come to one, well, I'm going to have a one on Saturday, not this Saturday coming. It will be Saturday, August the 22nd. And it's a pop-up sew day, and I have those once a month. Everybody's welcome. Same thing, bring whatever you want to work on. There's no set project or anything like that. We can work on these things. Now, having said that there's no set project, I've been toying with the idea, and I don't know if I want to get into this or not, but maybe you can let me know how you would feel about it, that maybe every so often, I don't know on what kind of regular basis it would be, if it even happens, but I'm thinking about doing sort of a sew along with a project that we could handle in one day. Probably would be on a Saturday, and it would run from 8 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So what's that? 8 hours. And it would be a project. I don't know what kind of project. I'd have to investigate what to do. Obviously, it can't be a whole quilt, because, and I don't want to do it as a series. There are lots of my fellow content creators out there that do series. So, you know, each week you do a new block or something like that, or each month. I don't want to do something like that. This would be like a one-day thing. And we'd all have the same pattern. If I can, I would try to make it a pattern that everybody could download online, and a freebie. And something small, maybe a table runner top or that kind of thing, and we'll work through it together. Now, it wouldn't necessarily be me telling you what to do next. It might be, maybe I'll design my own little project or something for it. I don't know. This is just an idea up here. Do I need another project to work on? Not really. But this is what happens. So you can let me know in the comments below if that would be something you would find appealing. And maybe I will do it. No guarantees. But I'm looking for your input. And if you have some suggestions for projects that we could manage as a group that are, could be finished in one session, one day, and don't necessarily use a whole lot of products and things, stuff we can make from our stash, that kind of thing. Maybe something scrappy, That might be fun. Yeah, hmm, I'm thinking out loud now. Yeah. And that's always dangerous when I start to think out loud. Anyways, you think about it. If you have thoughts, put them in the comments below. And I will consider it for maybe into the fall, something like that. In the fall is probably a better time, anyways, because, um, we're all trying to get things, we're getting back into our usual routines. The weather may not be as nice, so we're not so, tempted to forget about our sewing and go outside, that kind of thing. We'll see. Okay, so as I said, pop-up sew day on Saturday, August the 22nd. And the links, it will be a Zoom. It's a private Zoom link. It is not a YouTube live. And I'll put the link for that in the show notes for everything I put up the week before. So watch for that. Okay, subscribers' comments from last week that I'd like to highlight. This one comes from Kawartha Quilter. She says, or he, I'm assuming this is a she. Great advice about quilting on the 550E. I can effectively quilt small projects and runners. The batting for runners is thinner and the hoops don't pop. I really like your Halloween hanging. Yeah, I am not a fan of trying to do a large project, quilting it in the hoop on my embroidery machine for several reasons. You've heard me say this before. One of the major reasons is if you put in a large quilt, it is way too heavy, and that weight can screw up the timing on your machine or break your hoop or break an arm. And the interesting thing here too is talking about hooping it so they don't pop. Okay, there's a method called floating, and maybe I should do a video about this down the road. I'm thinking about it. And essentially what all floating is you hoop what you can hoop. So if you've got a project and it's, layered like a quilt, let's say it's a small table runner, and it's kind of thick and it won't stay in your hoop properly, well, there are ways to get around that. You can float it on top. And what that means is you hoop your stabilizer, but you just place your project on top of the hoop and get it in the position you want, and then you go ahead and quilt it within the hoop, or whatever you're going to do. What happens is after the first few stitches, it's being held down and it's fine. You may have to hold it for maybe the first couple of minutes just to make sure it's secure, and after that it's fine. It's not going to go anywhere. The other thing you can do is if you can hoop it, but when you add your stabilizer, if there's going to be stabilizer, now, if this is like a quilt sandwich, you don't need stabilizer with it. But let's say it's a thicker project and you do need to use stabilizer. Well, if you can get your project in the hoop without a problem, but if you add the stabilizers, it pops the hoop, then you can just float your stabilizer under the hoop, and that'll work too. And this applies for other projects as well. So maybe down the road, I'll make a note to myself. I'll do a quick little video demo of what I'm talking about to make it a bit more clear for anybody who might be new to machine embroidery. Okay, and then Jackie Kennedy says, I agree with you, Stephen. I have a Brother 1055 10 needle. That's a embroidery machine. I don't quilt on her. The way she moves would cause the registration to go off, not to mention the weight of a quilt, which is what I was just saying. I use my Janome M7. I do free motion on him. He works like a dream. A queen was easy on him. Now, I have a Janome M7 as well. It's a domestic sewing machine. And yes, you can quilt on that. The problem with quilting on your domestic machine, if it's a really large project, is, of course, again, the weight. And you need to really be able to spread your quilt out on top of surfaces that are at the same level as you may have an extended sewing table, to same level as that table. That keeps the weight off and makes things easier to move around under the needle when you're doing that too. And the M7 is great for that because it has a really large, I think it's 13-inch throat. So, you've got a lot of space to move around in. And you know, you don't have to necessarily do free motion quilting. You can do ruler foot quilting on that, or you can use your walking foot, and you can do some very interesting designs with the walking foot and using that for your spacing, things like that. There are videos on YouTube that will show you how to do that, so you can look that up. And Sarah said, I usually try to buy my Christmas fabric right after Christmas when it's on sale, so I have some to work on all year. Yeah, that's an excellent idea. And given what I've already said about buying Christmas fabric and trying to get it now, that's probably a really good idea. The only problem there is it could be picked over as well. So, but you might get some stuff that you like that's for a really good price. Okay, so thank you for your comments. I appreciate them. I always do. And I read every one of the comments, and I try to at least send you an acknowledgement that I have read your comment. And in other cases, if it's a question, I try to answer it to the best of my ability or make another follow-up comment to your comment as well. And if you're not in the habit of checking the comments on any content creator's site, you should. Because, well, in my case, I like to think I've been creating a community here, and this all adds to our knowledge base and inspiration as well, because people have lots of knowledge out there, and if they're willing to share it, well, we should be willing to read it. Okay, so last week's videos, quickie, if you haven't seen them all, Monday Morning Coffee with me was all about Canadian English under attack. One of several things we talk about. If you're not familiar with, if you're new here, Monday Morning Coffee with me is sort of more personal than these other ones in the sense that I talk more about my life, my thoughts, my opinions about various things that are happening in the world, here at home, whatnot, and of course about 3D printing. Well, I found this particular news item about our Canadian English being under attack. And it's not what you might think from that title. It's basically about spelling and how Canadian spelling is different from both the British and the American spelling. And I didn't realize there was these differences. Like, I knew there were differences, but this was interesting. So anyways, and other things there. So you can check that out if you haven't. So Chatty, we take you on our private shop hop in the car, but we do not show you the fabric. Okay, that's coming up in this video. And on Stephen and Walter Live, we talked more about our shop hop, and we talked about fabric, and we talked about other things as well. And there was a nasty comment. Yes, I do get nasty comments sometimes. Bring it on. But just beware. Nasty comments that get my attention usually get publicly exposed. Just saying, you know, as they always say, if you don't want to leave a paper trail or any evidence, don't put it in writing. Okay, so that takes me to subscribers creation of the week. This comes from a long time subscriber here, and it's Mary Henry. And yeah, let's take a look at her beautiful creation. This week's creation from a subscriber comes from Mary Henry, and Mary Henry sends us in this picture of this very beautiful scrappy table runner, and she says, here is a picture of a scrappy table runner I finished recently. It is a Donna Jordan free pattern. It's called the Jewel Box. Well, yeah, it looks really great. A free pattern, so go to Jordan Fabrics online and you will be able to find it, I am sure. It's called Jewel Box, and this is a great way to use up your scraps. And I can see that Mary has done a very basic type of quilting on it, I'm assuming with her domestic sewing machine, and it looks very, very effective with this particular design. So what a great little project. Probably doesn't take you all that long to put together, so if you needed a quick gift, this might be something to consider. So thank you, Mary, for sharing your beautiful creation with us. And I need more submissions, please. I think I have enough to get me up to almost the end of this month, which isn't that far away, but I need some more. So if you have something that you really love, take a picture of it, send it to me, and write a 50-word or less blurb about it, and I will definitely be happy to feature it here on a future episode of the Idiot Quilter. And by the way, I've had somebody mention why I only allow one picture of a project. And this person's suggestion was that they would like to see the back of it in the case of a quilt. Okay, that is a good suggestion. So if you want me to also include a picture of the back of your quilt because you want us to see your quilting a little bit, maybe it stands out on the back a little better than on the front, then please, you can do that as well. But what I don't want are multiple pictures of multiple projects all in one file. Okay, let's keep in mind that there are other people out there. I've had a few people, bless their hearts, who have sent me like 5 or 6 different projects with pictures, and that's great. I hang on to those for down the road, but if I started showing them all, it would look like I'm playing favoritism, you know. And so, one is good. Okay. But as I said, if you'd like to also include, not necessary to do so, but if you feel the urge to do so, a second picture of the same project of the back of the quilt, if it's a quilt you're sending me a picture of, then sure, I will present both of those. Okay. Short tip of the week. Okay, we all have jelly rolls laying around, or partial jelly rolls that we don't know what to do with. So I found this YouTube short tip about using called Jelly Roll Project Inspiration. If you're like me, you saw a jelly roll that you thought would look really great and you didn't have any specific plans for it, but you thought you'd throw it in your stash. Well, a couple of years later, you found it again and still haven't used it. Well, this little short video tip from YouTube is going to show you 3 quick projects for using up your jelly rolls. So check it out. Okay, the moment you have been waiting for. I am going to take you through my fabric haul, and I have mentioned to you before, if you were making guesstimates about how much I spent, then you all will be revealed. I'm going to tell you exactly how much I spent. I'm going to show you the fabrics from each store that I went to, so you might want to pause the video, grab yourself a cup of coffee, and come back and enjoy the show of my fabrics and envy me. And this will run about 37 minutes and 13 seconds, he says about. Yeah. So, ready? Here we go. So, it's time to look in detail at my fabric haul from this past weekend when we went to the Cambridge area. The Cambridge area is located about an hour and a half east of where we live, so only about maybe an hour east of Toronto. And it's a great area because it's Mennonite country. There's the city of Waterloo and Kitchener there. There's the St. Jacob's Market. And if you saw So Chatty in the past week, you know what that's all about because it was on our video for that. Um, and it's a great area for picking up fabric because there's a lot of really nice quilt stores. And I'm going to share my finds and my purchases with you from some of those quilt stores. And the first quilt store is one that's a little off the beaten track. You could miss it, so plug it into your GPS, check out their website. Those are listed in the show notes below. And it's called E&E Cloth Creations. Now, this store we've been to before. It was a store that is owned by Mennonites. And of course, Mennonites are famous for their quilts. It has very reasonable prices, and it's a small store that serves also as the local post office and general store. But for a little store, they really pack in a lot of very nice quality fabrics. And so when I went in, I didn't know for sure whether or not they would have Christmas fabrics because they are Mennonites. And I have heard, I'm not sure how true it is, that some orders of the Mennonites faith do not celebrate Christmas in the way that we do. But when I walked in, there's a lovely young couple that have taken over the store. The mother of the wife used to run the store. That's the lady I dealt with the first time I ever went there a few years ago. And now the young couple, husband and wife, have taken it over. And they are wonderful people. Very, very friendly, very nice, and very helpful. So, in the store, and if you saw the video on So Chatty, you got to look at the interior. All the stores I'm talking about today, I did do video in the interior, not as much as I would like to, but I was buying fabric. And I did have a focus. My focus was to buy Christmas fabrics, although I deviated from that in some ways. So here is my first pile of fabric, the first fabrics I bought in the day. And this is what was from, again, E&E Cloth and Creations in little town called Newton. And really, if you blink, you would miss Newton. So that's why I say you need to plug it into your GPS. But it's worth the drive. It's about 30 minutes north of St. Jacobs. So yeah, it's a bit of a drive, but the countryside is beautiful. Okay, without further ado, let's look at what I bought. So I said I wanted Christmas. So here is I'm just going to put these over to the side, put this out and spread it out a little bit more so you can see it. This, of course, is a black background because I don't have much in my collection like that with little holly leaves and berries. This is by, and I don't know if I can find it on the salvage. Probably not. Well, I'm not sure what line of fabric this is. Oh, here we go. It is Cardinal Cozy by Nancy Mink, and it's licensed to Wilmington Prints. So it's a Wilmington print. And this was from a set, and I have some more of this set in my collection here. It's called Cardinal, and it goes very nicely. Let me just fold this up, keep things neat and tidy, with this print from the Cardinal line. And you can see why it's called Cardinal, obviously, because there's cardinals. So I picked those up to go together, but I mean, they will go with many other fabrics that I have purchased along the way. Okay, I did want some more winter as opposed to, and I'm sorry, there's a glare on this one. Let's see if I can get a better shot. Echo fabric light off. And it's not listening to me. Echo fabric light off. Okay, there we go. You get a little better look at it. Maybe I'll leave this as the lighting. It has snowflakes on it, and it is a more of a beigey, brownish, light brownish background, which I kind of like that because Christmas quilts or Christmas projects don't all have to be in traditional Christmas colors. And I picked this one up too in the same vein. It is snowflakes, as you can see. I'm sorry about the glare. I do not have the best lighting in here. But anyways, it's got a little bit more of a beigeier background to it. And then I picked up some Christmas trees in the snow. And I'm not going to go through as to who manufactures all these because it'll take me forever to find that information out on the salvage. But you can see, very nice. And whatever size you cut the pieces, this is going to work really well. And another one with more traditional, you've got your green, but it's pine cones and pine boughs. And this doesn't necessarily have to be Christmas. It could make a nice wintry style project as well. Now, then I deviated out from the more traditional. I went into the blues. I do like blue for Christmas. And this one, of course, has snowmen. I thought really cute. I'm taking a chance on this because I'm not really sure. When you cut it, depending on the size of the pieces, you're going to chop up the snowmen and you're not going to get the effect. So I think if I was to put this into a quilt or a project, I would like to deal with pieces that are maybe 5 inches square, size of a charm pack. I think to show off the snowmen. And then I have had these ones before in my collection, but they're great blenders. They have this swirly background and not necessarily specifically Christmas in the pattern, but the colors, of course, are. But these could work well as blenders with a more of a wintry type quilt with the suggestion of Christmas, let's just say. So these are everything that I purchased from E&E Cloth Creations. And I'm really happy with this. How much did I buy? Well, my minimum cut is 2 meters of everything. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I've got 18 meters of fabric here. Their prices were very reasonable. They were under about $20 a meter for the most part. And my total comes to $300, $380.90. That includes tax for that as well. So not a bad haul for 18 meters of fabric. Excuse me for clearing my throat. The next set that I want to show you comes from a place in a little town called New Hamburg, which is in the area of Cambridge and Waterloo. And I love this store because they have a very modern aesthetic. If you want Juicy Juice, if you want Tula Pink, they have it. They're not a huge store, but they do have a really nice selection of very modern looking fabrics. And not only that, but they also like to deal with more bright colors too, which is part of my aesthetic. So I'll just show you some of the things. Now I picked this up because it's got the dark background, black, it's snowflakes, and I showed you some a little earlier that had snowflakes in a lighter color, so I think it might make a nice contrast, but it makes a good blender, I think. I picked up this one because this shade of green is not your traditional shade of green for Christmas. Usually Christmas greens are a little brighter, but I like this. I thought it had a very elegant design to it of these stars and these cascading lines and things. So I really like that. But while I was there, I don't know about this one, but it's cute. And I don't often do cute. It's cats. And you know, if I thought about it, I should have said to Walter, we should get 3 meters of this instead of 2, and then he could make me a Christmas shirt out of these Christmas kitties. I just thought, though, it's fun. And the print is small enough that if it's in smaller pieces and careful if you're cutting, you can get some of the little kitty faces in it. So it might be just, you know, a nice little novelty type quilt or project. Then I saw these and I debated because these colors are not Christmas colors, not what you think of, but they're very retro. Like these trees and Christmas ornaments really remind me of like the 50s, the 60s. And so this piece here with the stars and snowflakes, I thought went well with it, as does this one with the more stylized Christmas trees with the black background. I just thought it was something a little different, which would be nice because when we tend to make Christmas projects, I think a lot of people go for the more traditional, and that can get boring after a while. So these are not boring. So how many meters? Well, I got 2 meters of each one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 fabrics, 12 meters. What did I pay for that? Not bad. $288.38. Most of their fabrics seem to be about $20 a meter, which is dead center of the price range these days. So I think I did pretty well. Remember, that includes tax. So $288.38. And that was Quilting by Design in New Hamburg. I really like that store. And of course, the help there are extremely friendly and helpful.
And then we went to Lens Mills. Now, Lens Mills is a chain that are across southern Ontario. There's one in Toronto, there's the one in Cambridge. They have a new one that's going into St. Jacobs across the street from the St. Jacobs Market. They're in the process of stocking it at the moment. And there's some other ones out west as well. The Lens Mills is not just a fabric place. They have all kinds of household items, clothing, wool, sewing notions, upholstery, garden equipment. It's, has everything. And a lot of the things they have there are liquidations or ends of lines. Um, Depending on which Lens Mills you go to, some of them can be very, very grubby inside. The one on Orpheus Road in Toronto that I've been to before and I will not go back to is absolutely filthy. You come out of that store, you immediately need to take a shower. But the one in Cambridge is very nicely organized. It's big, and it's clean. The help there too are very, very nice. Now, if you go to Lens Mills in Cambridge, be prepared to spend quite a while there because if you saw the video on So Chatty, it's just row after row after row of fabric. And they may not have the absolute newest, although they have some. Like they had Tula Pink's Gray Works. They had I don't know who makes it, but it's all about owls kind of a thing. I don't think that's what it's called, but I have seen it. It has just come out. Um, but I was there on a mission to find Christmas fabric. That is not Christmas fabric. So just let me, for a second, just rearrange my pile. We'll come back to those. Okay, so these are Christmas fabrics. Now, they didn't have as much Christmas fabric as I thought they would have. Well, let me qualify that. They had a fair amount of Christmas fabric, but a lot of it is stuff that doesn't appeal to me. It's very novelty looking, and some of it looks, you've seen it before. It's been around for 100 years kind of a thing. So I went through and I picked out things that I thought would blend well with other Christmas fabric I already have. And I wanted to get into some of the lighter and more silvery kind of stuff. This one has I don't know if you can see the shine on it, but it does have a shine. It has, I don't know, it's a little swirly, kind of leaves on it. This is something Christmas and possibly winter. So I picked that up, 2 meters, of course. And this one as well. The silver's actually in the snowflakes. It glitters, and the glitter doesn't come off because you got to watch that. There are some fabrics that have glitter on them, and the glitter will come off. But this doesn't. As a white background, and I thought that would be great to lighten up something where you're using maybe a lot of darker colors. This one I debated on because the red is, well, there's several reds. There's even sort of a tingy reddy orange color in it. It has stars. It's, it's not necessarily Christmas, but it does shout Christmas though too. So I thought something a little different to keep in the set. Now, this one I have had before in my stash, and I wanted some more of it. It's got these little flourishes. Again, not necessarily Christmas, but could be used in other projects as well. A good blender, I think. This one's another glittery one, Christmas trees in gold. So, I mean, with a white background. So, I have several pieces of Christmas fabric that have gold in them. Gold is definitely a Christmas color to be used. So, but again, I kept in mind that I didn't want to just get absolutely exclusive Christmas. I wanted some versatility in what I was picking up. So this one also could be more wintry in style. Now, that's all the Christmas I picked up. at Len's Mills, but I did pick up some things just to replenish my stash. This is from the O Canada line. And you know, when I make my quilts of valor, I'm always looking for the O Canada line of fabric from Northcott. So this is one of their backgrounds. And this one goes along with that, with the maple leaves. So, and these were a fairly good price. Len Mills puts two prices, I'm not sure why, on their fabric. There's a price for it by the yard, and there's a price for it by the meter. Now, if you buy by the yard, it's 36 inches a yard. If you buy by the meter, a meter works out to 39 inches. So maybe that's why. But really, they're a Canadian store. It should all be in meters. Yeah, just me maybe, but it should all be in meters. But anyways, I think this worked out to about $18.99 a meter, or $18.69 a meter, actually, which is okay for this line, because usually you can pay $19, $20 to about $22, depending where you go, a meter for the O Canada line of fabric. And then I had to pick up, I believe this is Nor. Just had a mental block and I just said it. Uh, let's see. Find it on the salvage. Geez, it's bad getting old. Sometimes you just lose your train of thought is what I meant. Stonehenge, but it's by Northcott. Yeah, Northcott. How could I just said it. This is Northcott. This is Stonehenge, and I love having this as a staple in my stash. This is also now this isn't Stonehenge. This is canvas, I think. No, it is. It's Stonehenge. So just a same, but you know, a lighter blue. I love blues. This is also Stonehenge, the red. So you can see all these had the same kind of patterning in them, but great backings or backgrounds. This is Stonehenge as well in the yellow. I don't have a lot of yellow in my collection, so I thought I should pick some up. And the same with orange. They're not two colors I go to, but I do love this line. So anytime I see it, and I like to stock up on it because I do use it quite a bit in my quilts. I did look at wide backs when I was in Len's Mills. They had not a bad collection of wide backs in both cotton and in flannel. I don't work in flannel. I don't really like flannel. But the prices were good. On the most part, some of them were as low as about $19 a meter. And usually for a backing fabric, I want 3 meters. And up to about 24, $24.99 a meter, which is pretty good, because when you go out and price wide backs these days, they can be as much as $32 a meter, even higher, depending on where you go and what the manufacturer is. I didn't pick up any wide back. I still have quite a few pieces of wide back in my collection that I need to use up on some things. So, as I said, I picked up 2 meters of each. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I picked up 24 meters of fabric at Len's Mills. My total came to $480.43. And as far as individual stores are concerned, that was the highest amount I spent at one store, $480.43. That includes tax. So that was Len's Mills. So we did go to Michael's. Now, if you're Canadian, you know exactly what Michael's is. Michael's is kind of like Joann's in the States, but of course, Joann's has gone out of business now. And because they've gone out of business, Michaels has decided to take on more fabric. Now, I know that Michaels had fabric in the United States, but in Canada, the Michaels didn't really have much fabric. They had, you know, some fat quarters pre-bundled, but nothing really that exciting. So when we went into the Michaels, and I didn't go in there specifically to look for fabric, I was looking for 3D printing filament because they've just recently in the States gotten into 3D, selling 3D printers and the filament. And the filament that I saw online for the Michaels in the States was really a good price. So we went to the Michaels in Cambridge. They did have some filament, but it was just all green. There wasn't any other color. And it was a good price, about $15.49 for a kilogram spool, which is the standard size. I did ask if they were getting other colors, and the lady there, she said, "This is really weird," she said, "and I can't explain why they've done it this way." She said, "Weeks ago, we got in all the filament, different colors. It went out very quickly. We're waiting for more to come in. But for some reason, all we have right now is green." So, okay, fine. But then I started looking at their fabric. Now, at first, I wasn't going to purchase any of their fabric, and I'll tell you why. It was all made in Pakistan. Now, I don't really know. I mean, most of our fabrics are not manufactured in our country or in the United States. They are manufactured offshore in China or other places. Pakistan is one of those places, I guess. But, you know, I'm a little afraid of how well it will stand up when it's washed and that kind of thing. But it feels really nice. Now, of course, I could pre-wash it before I use it. I know, knowing me, I probably won't. But it'll probably be okay. But the best part of it was, well, there were various prices. You could get some for as low as $9 a meter. Most of the ones that I bought here were $10 a meter. So that's pretty good. In fact, we were wondering if they were marking on the shelf as half meter, but no, it was a full meter. So that's pretty good. Selection wise, there wasn't a lot. They had one row of fabric. Most of it I was not interested in because it was what I call gitchy fabric, you know, little novelty kind of stuff. Great for maybe a baby's quilt or for a kid's quilt, that kind of thing. And of course, remember my focus was on Christmas. So I did see these Christmas ones and I debated and I said, no, I'm going to take a chance. They do have a little sparkly gold in them, which doesn't seem to come off. So let's take a look at this one. You know, fairly traditional. However, one thing that appealed to me was these little vines, I guess, in gold, because some of the other fabric I bought kind of picks up that motif. So it would go with that. And of course, I did like the glitter. I do like glitter on Christmas fabrics. I mean, who doesn't like glitter at Christmas? So I picked that up. Um, it's actually called, the line is called Fabric Traditions Patty Reed Designs. It is made in Pakistan, as I said. This one, I thought this was very pretty, very traditional, but all that sparkle, and I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but looks pretty nice. Again, more sparkle in white with the flourishes, and the snowflakes that are on it are all in silver. And I'm running my fingers over this just to see if any of that glitter comes off. And nope, it doesn't. So that's pretty good. Now, while I was there, I saw these two fabrics. They are not Christmas, obviously, but they are in yellows. And I thought, you know, great blenders. And again, I am low on yellow in my stash. So I didn't buy a lot in there because, quite frankly, there wasn't a lot to be had. And also, because of the being manufactured in Pakistan, I'm not sure how well these hold up to the washing machine. But so I'm taking a chance. But at $20 or $10 a meter, I didn't think I could go wrong. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 10 meters of fabric that I bought there. And it came to, with tax, $113 even, which I don't think that's, I think that's pretty good actually. I mean, $10 a meter, where can you get fabric for $10 a meter? Not all their fabric was $10 a meter. Okay, just so you know. But these ones were. So that was from Michael's. And last but not least is a place I really, really love for many reasons. It's called Dancing Stitches. It's right in Cambridge. Um, it's a must go. If you're in the Cambridge area, you must go to Dancing Stitches. They have a great selection of fabrics, and the owner of it, Susie, I think she's the owner, or she's the owner's mother, something like that. But either way, wonderful lady. Um, she's just so friendly. And we were in there for quite a while. And not picking up fabric, or talking to Susie. But anyways, here's what I got. Now, price-wise on their fabrics, they're a little bit higher up depending on what you're buying. These fabrics cost me, I think, about $22 on average per meter, which is, the higher end of the scale right now, but good quality fabric. They didn't have a lot of Christmas. I know they're getting more in. I'm a little early, I guess. Apparently, that's what I'm finding. Stores are not getting in Christmas fabric as early as they used to, and I don't know why that is. Maybe it has to do with when the manufacturers release it or whatever. But anyways, I did find stuff that I liked. So I got this. So this one, I really liked it because it's got an old-fashioned look to it, and yet modern at the same time. Little ivy vines and little stylized leaves and berries with a beigey brownie background, which I thought was a little more unusual. And that's what makes me think of, a little bit more uh, older style of fabric, but very nice. Um, this is a Stoff fabric. I've had Stoff fabrics before. They're really nice. They almost have the feel of like a linen to them. And I don't know if they, but they're 100% cotton, but very nice. Let me just get things organized here. Yeah, this one, and this one. Okay, these are all the same pattern, different colorway. So we've got the green with the trees, a deeper green. I like that shade of green, really, in Christmas things. This red, again, 2 shades of red actually in this, 2 shades of greenness, and then the white and silvery one. I just thought all three, I couldn't break them up. I saw the green one first, I had that, and I noticed they had the red, and I thought, oh, might as well get this one too, because these 3 alone, you could do something very, very nice with those, because they're all the same pattern, different colorway. So, and this one's got a little bit, they all have a little bit of shine to them as well. I don't know how well this will show up on the camera. I have had this fabric before, but I really like it because of the design. It's a great background fabric blender. And this is of the same, different colorway, but same design. And that's a little bit more unusual. Now, on the camera, it's reading as black. It's really just a very deep gold and green with it. And this is of the same line except in red. Now, this one I have had before. Again, it's the flourishes, more traditional red color for Christmas. But again, this is one that I think make a great background. And it doesn't necessarily have to be Christmas. And this one actually, this is the same as these ones. except in the blue wave. So got a little theme going on here, I guess. So as I said, I love this store. I bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all 2-meter cuts. So 18 meters of fabric. So this one totaled out at $434.94 with tax. So that was the second highest amount that I spent in any one store. So one now for, well, what do you think? What's your guess about how much I spent on my fabric? I'll give you a second to think about it. And then I'll show you what I consider the find of my trip. Okay, you got your estimate? Was it 500? God, no. One store alone was almost 500. Was it 1,000? No. Was it 1,200? Was it 1,400? No. It was $1,697.65. There's the whole breakdown right there. So almost $1,700 in fabric. And you're probably crapping your pants right now. And you think I'm rich. No, I'm not. I budgeted. I knew when we were going to that area that I was going to spend a lot of money. So I have been budgeting for that. And believe it or not, I stayed within my budget. Yeah. Now for the bonus. So you know that I love these felt folders. And I've been hunting for them. They come from Dollarama. And I've been embroidering them. But I can't get any more. We've been to probably 10 different Dollaramas in my area, because there's a lot of Dollaramas around, one on every corner, it seems. Little thread there. And anytime I see them, I wipe the store out of them because I love them for embroidering on them and making them as gifts. So we decided to go to about 3 different Dollaramas when we were in the Cambridge area. And I found out of those 3 stores, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But wait, there's more. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I wiped out each store. So I am well supplied with these folders for future gifts and projects and things like that. So that was a little bonus on the trip as well. That the price of what I paid for these is not included in the price I just showed you for all the fabric. Each one of these is $2.75. So I have 12. So about 30 some dollars I spent for these, but I love them. I absolutely love them. So that is my haul. Let's put those there. So there you can see my piles and piles and piles and piles. Yeah, I'm well stocked up for Christmas. Now I have a new problem. Where am I going to put it? I have a thought. And maybe on a future Idiot Quilter, I will show you how I store this or where I put them, because I want them all to be together. At least the Christmas ones. Some of these ones aren't Christmas, so they can go in the regular stash storage. So I hope you enjoy seeing my haul. And yeah, stay tuned for whatever I do with some of these fabrics. I bought for 2 years, though, just so that I have enough for future projects. And I think now I'm pretty much done buying Christmas fabric at least until my local quilt store comes out with theirs, and I'll see what they have and maybe a little bit more. Yeah, I might have a problem.
So I hoped you enjoyed seeing my haul, and yes, almost $1,700. I'm not made of money, but I'll let you in on a little secret. I knew that I would probably end up spending that amount of money. So I've been saving. I've been putting money aside in my budget to afford it. I'm not going to go in the poorhouse for fabric. Nope, I like to eat. So that's how I did it. Now, my new problem, where am I going to put it all? Well, I started a shelf. I cleaned off one shelf in my sewing room that had bits and pieces of that, this, and everything. And I decided, okay, I need to have this cleaned up because one, it was getting messy looking, and two, this gives me extra storage. But even with that, I barely got all my Christmas fabric in, but I did manage to get it in there somehow. So here's a picture of what that looks like, and there it is. This is my Christmas storage shelf. For now, it will probably be like this. Well, I'll be using the Christmas fabric um, this year, but I think I'm going to keep this for, well, Christmas fabric, and if I end up with some space after I've done a few projects, it may become seasonal fabrics, let's say, like Halloween, Christmas, that kind of thing. Um, it just all fits in there. I don't have any room for any more. Now, does that mean I'm not going to buy any more Christmas fabric? No, I'm waiting for my local quilt store to get theirs out because I want to support them. So I will be checking it out as soon as theirs comes out and adding to this collection. Where will I put that? Well, I do have space up above on the very top, which you can't see in this picture. There's some baskets that hold some miscellaneous things up there. I could relocate those. I'm sort of in the semi-process right now of cleaning out, destashing, purging junk that's in my sewing room. I started with my threads, and I'm going to move on when the mood hits me to some of the drawers that sit all underneath my cutting area, because they are just full of bits and pieces that a lot of those bits and pieces are garbage and they need to go. However, as I said, I have been doing some things with my 3D printer to reorganize my embroidery threads. I use Floriani because that's what I started with, and that's what my local quilt store sells. So I've always used Floriani. And I have an Alex unit that I store my threads in. And here is the bottom drawer. And these are 3D printed, and they are spool stands. There's a post. If you look at the white one, you can see it a little better. There are posts there, and they are designed in such a way that they will hold the Floriani spools of thread nice and neatly. So here's what I'm talking about. You get the idea. Now, the thing is, I was organizing my threads by their product number. You see, if you look at these closely, you see PF720, PF190, PFK07, because my thought was when I first got into machine embroidery that I would be able to tell when I needed to, I was getting low on a certain spool of thread, and I could go with the number and pick up another spool. And yes, that did work for a while. But like everything you organize, you have a tendency when you start putting things away to, oh, I'll come back and straighten that up later, and you just throw it in the drawer, out of sight, out of mind. So my threads were all mixed up. And the numbering system didn't work that well because they don't, in the numbering system, Floriani doesn't have like all their blues are in this spread of numbers. A lot of them are, but some of them are other numbers further on in the sequence. So I thought what I should do is organize my drawers by color so I could see what shades of the various colors I have. So this is what I'm talking about. So right there, you can see the blues, you can see my reds moving into pinks, my greens, a few pinks in there, etc. It isn't absolutely perfect because, you run out of space. but I have about 600 spools of Floriani. So this is working well, so well that I have room for expansion in that bottom drawer I showed you. That one's empty except for those thread spool holders in there. So, if I need the space, I have it. So yeah, that was a big project to do. It took me several days to print out all the holders that I needed, and then getting the thread all organized. That took some time as well. But now it's nice and neat and it's pretty. So, it makes me feel like I've accomplished something and inspiring me to move on to some other areas down here. As I said, it will take me some time. I'm now playing with how I want to organize my fat quarters and, remnants, larger chunks of fabric in a way that, makes sense. And I think I'm going to have to do it by color again. But I need to get it into its more Alex drawers, and fat quarters are too big to put on their edge, so I have to refold them. That's going to take some time, maybe one drawer at a time, neaten up. And I think I'm going to be very severe. I will throw out fabric. I'm sorry. I know there are people out there that are saying that's sacrilege and I need to be stoned for that. Stoned as in, public stoning, not as in like high. And so whatever, have some coffee. Okay. Anyways, I have to figure that out. I just on this whole business about throwing out fabric, I don't throw out large chunks, but I think anything, if I can't get a 2.5-inch square out of it, then it's got to go. And even then, in the case of these drawers, it's probably going to be more or less anything less than 5-inch square. It's going to go. Yep, I'm sorry. I know what you're thinking, but just gotta let it go. As the song goes, let it go, let it go. Okay, and on that note, I'm going to let you go. And thanks for joining me today. Tune in later in the week for So Chatty. I have no idea what we're going to talk about in So Chatty. Well, I do have one idea, but I haven't bounced it off Walter yet. So I have to pick my timing. Okay, hope you have a great week. We'll see you later. Bye for now. Hi, I'm just going to interrupt my program for just 1 second to remind you to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for future notifications. That's all I ask of you. Show me a little love. Thanks.